India has recently restricted imports of personal computers, laptops, automatic data processing machines, and large mainframe computers. The import restriction is aimed to promote domestic manufacturing of these products and prevent imports from China. The move is seen as a boost for the domestic production of IT hardware. But according to many media reports, India's computer protectionism will prove self-defeating as country's big IT firms, which account for about a quarter of its exports, need a lot of processing power. It also reports that India will return to the bad old days when the economy was closed, and it will fail to take advantage of its moment of economic opportunity, and its 1.4 billion people will pay the price. Today, we will discuss what actually is protectionism and India's history of protectionism to its entry into the global economy. Protectionism refers to government policies that restrict international trade to help domestic industries with the goal to improve economic activity. The policy typically focuses on imports, and its merits are subject to fierce debate. Critics argue that over the long term, protectionism often hurts the people and entities it is intended to protect by slowing economic growth and increasing price inflation. On the other hand, proponents of protectionism argue that the policies can help to create domestic jobs, increase GDP, and make a domestic economy globally competitive. During India's independence movement, the Congress party strongly campaigned for Indians to buy only domestically produced goods and burn imports from Britain, the colonial power. After India gained independence in 1947, the Congress party ruled for more than 4 decades. It was a socialist party seeking economic self-sufficiency over globalization. Industrial licenses were used to regulate all production, and imports were banned or taxed at high rates. This approach failed to put India on world platform, and instead created uncompetitive high-cost industries that harmed both the consumers and the investors. This approach also reduced India's share in global trade from 2.2% in 1950 to 0.45% by 1985. Such inward-looking policies yielded GDP growth of just 3.5% per year for 3 decades after independence. A 15-year waiting period for a Bajaj scooter and a 10-year waiting period for a fixed telephone line connection epitomizes the state of Indian economy and the quality of life of the average citizen during the period. The country faced a currency crisis in the early 1990s and forced the policymakers to ask the International Monetary Fund or IMF for help. The IMF cash came with conditions. India had to open up to foreign investments and remove trade barriers. In 1990-91, the highest tariff rate stood at 355%. The budget speech delivered by Mr. Manmohan Singh on 24 July 1991 announced a drastic reduction in the peak tariff rates to 150%. The rate was further reduced to 110% in 1992, 85% in 1993, 65% in 1994, and 50% in 1995. Many saw this as the start of India's entry into the global economy, and over the last 20 years, it has connected its young, vibrant workforce with companies around the world. Today, India is one of the world's top outsourcing destinations, with many of its workers powering back-end IT systems, call centers, and software development. Before the reforms of the 1990s, India was known for its license Raj. This imposed rules that made it impossible to get anything done without government permission created a class of favored insiders who knew how to work the system. Today, Western companies are investing in India as they diversify their supply chains away from China. America considers India as among the closest partners in the world. In a graying Asia, India's population, which this year became the world's largest, stands out for its youth. Surveys of purchasing managers suggest the economy is growing at its fastest pace for 13 years. In 2014, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to power and launched the Make in India campaign. India's government is convinced that reducing imports is necessary for its security and creating manufacturing jobs, and especially hopes to reduce imports from China. The new protectionism is not identical to the old one. First, the old protectionism rose from fear of Western multinationals, whereas the new protectionism arises from the fear of China. Second, the old protectionism focused on creating national champions in public sector, whereas the new protectionism mostly protects private sector players. Third, the old protectionism aimed for self-sufficiency, while the new protectionism claims it wants India to gain a foothold in global value chains. Fourth, the old protectionism claimed to be protecting infant industries till they are mature. Modi's new protectionism goes beyond global value chains to protection of relatively small manufacturers, ranging from electronic components to a wide range of consumer goods. This is done simply to save jobs and small businesses, and optimists point out that the new areas protected is only a small fraction of India's imports. Global tech hardware giants like HP, Dell, Samsung, LG, Apple, and Lenovo have a substantial presence in Indian laptop industry, with a sizable proportion of their products imported directly from China. This restriction may drive these corporations to look into opportunities for local production in order to continue efficiently serving the Indian market. Thank you, my friends, for watching the video. Hope you have enjoyed watching it. Take good care about yourself, and always love your family and your friends. God bless you all.